Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another installment in our character breakdown series for Contest of Champions for Android and iOS. And today's character is a very bare bones character, all things considered. We're looking at Storm, and Storm has had one minor tweak that has been made to her character in the past year and a half or so. But apart from that, she hasn't really been touched, and despite all of that, she is still a very, very potent and powerful character, and let's have a little bit of a closer look to determine why that is, and then a couple of comments as to how I feel she could be made better. I don't think that this character is one of the ones that's in need of a complete overhaul, but I would like to see minor adjustments to the way that her character works. So, the one change that was made to her recently is she does have a reduction of the damage that she will receive from shock debuffs that are placed on her own character, and based off of her power meter, it can be reduced by up to 60%, which I feel is kind of interesting. I don't know why she's not holistically immune, but it is at least something better than what it was before. And while she has a shock debuff active on herself, she has an increased 30% potency to her special attacks. So it is a little bit of a trade-off there that can pay off in a big way, especially if you have a maximum potency Storm available to you. Apart from that, the only other things that are really notable about her character is her special attacks have different chances to stun for varying durations. Her special attack 1 has a 60% chance to stun for 3 seconds, the special 2 has a 70% chance to stun for 4 seconds, and the special 3 attack has a 90% chance to stun for 4.5 seconds. And on any of her special attacks, she has a 60% chance to apply a shock debuff to the opponent, which helps her deal a little bit more damage than that. Shock debuff will last for a 6-second time span. Apart from those bare bones abilities that she does have, her signature ability allows her to get a lot more power out of those special attacks. And they're already fairly powerful in their own right, but as Storm has an increased signature ability level, she has a surge of power that flows through her target, and that allows her to increase her special attack damage by a considerable margin based off of how full her opponent's power is. And at her maximum potency, she can get about 2.4% more damage in on her special attacks based off of the opponent's power meter. Now, of course, to get that maximum yield, you have to take a gamble and hit them when they have their maximum power and could retaliate with a special 3. And that's not particularly great, especially when you take into consideration that she only has a 70% chance to stun on her special 2, which is the harder hitting of her 2 standard special attacks that she does have. But it can be worth it, especially if you have an opponent down at a lower percentage and you're not relying on that stun to take place. And you saw in one of these clips that's been running in the background that she had a 26,000 critical hit on a special 2 against one of these opponents, and that one wasn't even as far as she can get pushed because I'm pretty sure that was a symbiote and they only have 2 bars of power instead of the full 3. So the damage amplification can go a lot further than that, especially if you get a critical hit off of it. Now, what could be done to improve this character and make her a little bit better? Now, you're gonna think that I'm crazy a little bit, but let me talk through my thought process here. I think that the 6-second duration on her shock needs to be increased to about 8 or 9 seconds, and the damage dealt by that shock that's on the opponent needs to be decreased slightly. And the reason I think that that should happen is because I think there's an additional perk that should happen with Storm where when she attacks into her opponents, if they have a shock debuff active, that she can refresh the duration of that shock debuff and allow it to continue dealing damage to the opponent. And I feel like that's a worthy trade of being able to refresh the debuff in relation to dumbing down or reducing the damage that it is capable of dealing. I feel like that is a worthy trade to her and her character. Now, we did recently get the Pyramid X variant of Storm, who revolves a lot more around multiple different weather types. She has ice abilities in her kit, as well as some thunder and lightning. I don't think that it would be too far to say that it would be cool to see additional weather capacities added to Storm's kit as well, but she's really a solid character in her current iteration, so I don't know that I would want to take away from what she has. And adding ice to her attacks would really just make her feel too close to the other version of Storm. One thing that I think could be kind of cool to see with her, in addition to the refresh mechanic on her shock abilities, is give her some sort of benefit that you can get off of landing a heavy attack. I think that something that might be kind of cool is take that, for example, take that shocks that either she has applied by her opponents or on her, or the ones that she applies herself. Let's say that if you have a shock on the opponent and you do use a heavy attack, you can get a passive non-damage dealing shock debuff on yourself, or a shock charge on yourself, that will help you to further amplify your damage. Because if we're being completely honest, there's not a whole lot of characters in the game that rely on dealing shock damage, so you're not going to be able to use her passive ability that frequently, because you're then relying on running into an opponent that does have the ability to apply a shock debuff, and then you have to voluntarily allow yourself to be struck by a shock debuff. And I guess this is more of a defensive attribute of using her on some alliance defenses and running into her in quests and such, but that's really something I feel would work a lot better for Storm, is if she had the ability to retain a shock buff or shock debuff that she herself has created and gain the benefit from that during the course of that fight. I don't feel like that would be a far cry for her either. But she is still very powerful and very easy to pick up and understand for new game characters, so maybe those type of changes would serve to be overkill, but that's where you come in. Do you think that there are items that can be tweaked or improved about Storm's kit, or do you feel like she's as good as she's going to get and should stay the way that she is? Be sure to let me know what your thought process is on Storm in the comments down below. And if you have alternative pitches, I would love to hear them. Make sure you leave a like on the video if you've made it this far in, and don't forget to subscribe for that daily variety content. With all that being said, thank you for letting me take some of your time, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day.